Barely 2 months into the new year of 2024, there is yet another patch update for Cyberpunk 2077 and Phantom Liberty on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. In this video, we're going to go over pretty much every change that has occurred and every fix that has occurred for Cyberpunk 2077 if you're interested in learning more. For the gameplay section, we have melee finishers will now work properly. There was an issue where health items could become unequipped from the quick access slot after using consumables. It will now be possible to properly switch Z and W keybinds for Zerodead keyboards. When using the classic control scheme, performing dashes will no longer result in crouching. Fixed an issue where it was still required to use the F key to interact even if bound to a different key. They also fixed the fact that binding the right mouse button to an action different than aiming will no longer result in aiming and the new action occurring simultaneously. Axolotl Cyberware will now also reduce cooldown when neutralizing enemy non-lethally. The iconic Contagion Quick Hack will now properly cause an explosion when combined with the Overheat Quick Hack. Added Psalm 11 verse 6 and Buzzsaw crafting specs for players who completed the required activities to acquire them but they didn't drop. Fixed an issue preventing players from upgrading items to tier 5++ on Xbox. Skeleton Cyberware will no longer get downgraded after acquiring level 3 of the License to Chrome perk. Skill shards for skills that are already maxed out will no longer drop. The RAM cost for the Cyberpsychosis Quick Hack will now properly decrease after applying Cyberware Malfunction or an EMP effect. Killing NPCs who are drunk or using a brain dance will now properly trigger the police system. Fixed an issue where RAM Riku Cyberware was restoring less RAM than indicated by its description. Fixed an issue where Fists would not have a chance to apply bleeding after reaching level 20 in the solo skill. Fix the description for Biomonitor Cyberware so it properly states that it heals you when health drops below 50% rather than 35%. It will now be possible to activate Sendavistan Cyberware during holo calls if in combat. Fixed an issue where it was possible to get killed by a quick hack while Berserk is active despite its feature ensuring that health cannot drop below 25%. Cyberware capacity now will be capped at 450. Cyberware exceeding the limit will be unequipped. Fixed an issue that could cause loot to float in the air as well as reappear in the same spot after picking it up. For the quest and open world section, we have adjusted car chases so they're not too frequent and don't overlap. Fixed an issue where vehicles purchased on the AutoFixer website weren't added to the own vehicles list, even though money was spent, which is huge. Made it possible to obtain the BFC 9000 iconic weapon for players who missed the crashed AV in Rancho Coronado. Fixed an issue where the animation of inspecting the end card city pass could be triggered inside an elevator, causing V to fall through it. Fixed an issue where the message from the end card customer support that unlocks the metro wouldn't arrive even if the requirements were met. Fixed some instances where gigs could remain stuck as incomplete in the journal without any objectives. A day in the life quest fixed an issue where Daryl Zhao would instantly die after approaching the quest marker and speaking to him. Please note that the fix is not retroactive, meaning that you need to load a save prior to speaking to Daryl to be able to complete the quest. For the Belly of the Beast quest, fixed an issue where it wasn't possible to exit the Basilisk after entering the tunnel. For Cyberpsycho sighting on deaf ears, there was an issue that was fixed where it wasn't possible to collect the information required to progress because the shard wasn't present in the area. For the Don't Lose Your Mind quest, fixed an issue where after choosing to merge the Delamains, it wasn't possible to progress past the approach the car objective because the cab then spawned. For the Down on the Street quest, fixed an issue where Takemura wasn't present when arriving at Wakaku's pachinko parlor. For the gig, Bring Me the Head of Gustavo Orta, fixed an issue where Gustavo would immediately become hostile after entering his office. For the gig, Bring Me the Head of Gustavo Orta again, there was an issue where the guards would immediately attack the player after picking the peaceful street kid dialogue option, which is not a very peaceful option. For the I Really Want to Stay at Your House quest, fixed an issue where it wasn't possible to sleep in V's apartment bed while the quest was active. For Psycho Killer quest, improved the reward for neutralizing all cyber psychos, which actually I just did 2 days ago. Players that already claimed the reward can visit Regina and collect a new reward from the weapon crate. Oh, that's sweet. Reported Crime Dredged Up quest fixed an issue where the trail that must be scanned to progress could be missing. For the Spellbound quest, fixed an issue when the discounted price for the spellbook could be higher than the full price. Now, for those of you who got Phantom Liberty DLC, I haven't yet, here are some fixes for some quests, such as Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, where there was no objective in journal entry because the objective meet read at the abandoned hotel wouldn't appear. And in the same quest, there was an issue where there were no dialogue options that would progress the quest when talking to Yoko. For the Firestarter quest, fixed an issue where some weapons could become job items after being retrieved from the locker. Hi-Ho Silver Lightning quest fixed an issue where it was impossible to talk to Mr. Hands in the Heavy Hearts Club because he wasn't interactable or did not spawn for players who experienced this issue on 2.1. Just another story quest who had an issue where vehicle contracts weren't spawning in some cases. Things Done Changed quest fixed an issue where the screen could go black after calling the nurse for players who experienced this issue on 2.1. They also added an end credits message from Reed for endings other than the tower. They also removed the possibility of installing attachments on the Catahoula iconic pistol, fixed an issue where it was possible to activate the Sensory Protocol perk when it was on cooldown, fixed an issue where it was possible to activate Synaptic Accelerator Cyberware during its cooldown. It will now be required to have a Cyberdeck installed to benefit from Cogito Lattice Cyberware, fixed an issue where the buff after exploding an enemy with a detonate grenade didn't match the description. For UI adjustments and additions or fixes, CD Projekt Red has added a radio port category in the settings or gameplay settings to customize radio port behavior. You can enable a sync to vehicle radio to keep the music playing after exiting a vehicle. With cycle stations with button press, effortlessly switch between radio stations by simply pressing the radio port button without the need to open the radio menu, which is nice, like a GTA feature. Enable save current station to have the radio port resume playing the radio station upon loading a saved game. The data window that appears when scanning will no longer default to the hacking tab rather than data. Instead, it will now remember which tab was opened last. They also fixed an issue preventing players from changing cyberware at Ripper Docks and seeing the cyberware capacity bar. They also added a pop-up message for when it's not possible to activate Send the Beastin during holo calls. And like the non-iconic variants, iconic quick hacks will no longer have the duration displayed in their descriptions. The team also made small improvements to the appearance of net sites, which is always nice. And for visual adjustments or fixes, CD Projekt Red has now lit up the Yaiba Kusanagi CT3X neon lit rooms. They will now light up properly. They fixed shadows appearing on V's torso when then wearing tank tops. Fixed dark shadows appearing on V's hands when holding some weapons with ray tracing enabled. The Devil and Judgment Tarot cards will now be properly displayed on the endgame reward screen. For vehicles, the tire track marks will now match the actual contact patch of the tire. Great detail. Adjusted suspension movement of some traffic vehicles to improve it visually. Motorcycle suspension has been improved to reduce visual clipping into roads and curbs. The braking for motorcycles is also improved. Some vehicles, including cars and trucks, will now better handle landing from big jumps. Very nice. Brake torque vectoring has been added to the drive model simulation. This change effectively reduces understeer on vehicles that previously used to suffer from it excessively when hard braking while turning, most noticeable on forward drive and rear or mid-engine vehicles. Retuned or improved tuning in various vehicles. This includes Mizutani Hozuki MH1, MH2, and Hoseki, Belafort Delian V400, V410 Coupe, and Vindicator, along with the Thornton Colby CST40, Mahir Supron FS3T, Chevilon Centurion 1000, Quadrotype 66 Hoon, and more. They've also implemented various small changes to improve drifting in most vehicles. For example, all-wheel drive vehicles now apply power through their front differentials more smoothly when exiting burnout mode, induced drifts. Dynamic stability management was adjusted to engage more smoothly after burnout mode drifts. Most mid-engine cars' burnout mode implementation has been polished to induce more easily and overall feel better, including the Rayfield Caliburn, Quadra Turbo LR, Herrera Riptide, etc. Now for the more tech back-end adjustments for Cyberpunk, we do have PC-specific changes. They added a hybrid CPU utilization setting, which can be found under gameplay performance. It can be set either to auto, which lets the OS automatically decide how to distribute threads among the cores, or prioritize P cores or performance cores. It's set to auto by default, so make sure you check that if you're on PC. They also implemented a fix that improves performance, especially on AMD RX Vega GPUs. And for other changes on the back end, they also added the Crystal Code feature, which allows you to change a vehicle paint color. Because this technology was developed exclusively by Rayfield, it is currently only available for Rayfield vehicles you own. Nice. Controller inner dead zone has been changed to new default values for players who didn't change them, as keeping the old default values could result in stick drift. They also fixed an issue where the door in the Mega Building H10 apartment wouldn't automatically close in some cases. As for Redmont, they updated the address list for modders, and that's really it. It's really nice to see that they just keep updating the game, which is bringing back more and more players. Let me know what you guys think about this new patch. Personally, I'm excited about the improved feel for vehicles and, of course, the bug fixes. Who doesn't like bug fixes? I am intrigued by their decision to to set the Cyberware limit to 450. I'm kind of curious how that'll affect people's builds. Anyway, that's it for now, Chooms. Until next time, stay Nova.